Minnesota Twins drop game one to Milwaukee in 12 innings, 8-4. We're breaking it all down. It's coming up next on the Locked On Twins POSTCAST.
You are Locked On Twins POSTCAST, part of Locked On Minnesota on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Back in the lab, back at it, another Minnesota Twins POSTCAST episode right here on the Locked On Sports Minnesota Network. Your team every day. You got myself, Luke Inman, at Luke_Spinman. That's the man, Theo Tollefson. He's live from Target Field tonight, Twins expert over at Zone Coverage MN. By the way, give him a follow on X at Theodore Tollef1 and Theo. Before we jump into all the action from tonight, quick reminder, tonight's episode brought to us by Prize Picks. Easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB. Use code, this is all lowercase, LockedOnMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. All right, man, Twins finally back in action after the All-Star break. One of the best matchups of the season every year. It's the border battle versus the Brew Crew. 2 games at home. Then they take on Philly for 3. That starts Monday night. No Correa in the lineup. We'll get to that here in a second. But it felt like it led the way anyways to a pitcher's duel between Pablo and Peralta because just 1 run was scored in 7 combined innings between those 2 starters. Pablo was fantastic, by the way. 4 hits, 7 Ks, 1 walk, 7 innings of work. We end up going to the 11th inning, tied 1 apiece. Brewers play a little small ball. They end up scoring 2. Christian Yelich, sack bunt. That puts them up 3-1. Bottom 11, Twins down to their final strike. Things looking bleak. Things looking dark. Carlos Santana says, let's keep playing some ball. Hits a 2-game, 2-run moonshot to deep right field. 14th homer of the year. That ties Ryan Jeffers for the most homers on the team. We go to the 12th inning, though. Brewers get the bases loaded, no outs, couple infield hits. And I got to be honest, they just flat out executed better than the Twins the longer this game went. They end up breaking this thing wide open, 5 runs in the 12th inning. 3 of those runs charged to Okert, by the way, and that was all she wrote. Twins lose 8-4. They drop 54-43. 11 games above 500. Cleveland lost as well tonight, 7-0 to San Diego. So the Twins stay 5 back from first place. Theo, you're live from Target Field, though. You got to see it all up close and personal. Safe to say you got your money's worth tonight, 12 innings of play. Biggest takeaways, 8 topics. Then we'll talk about Pablo's day on the mound, too.
I mean, I think the biggest takeaway is this was announced as the record-setting regular season crowd, 41,600 people, well over that. That's the largest crowd we've had in the regular season in Target Field history. So it was definitely the most electric between the Twins and Brewers crowd. I'd say it was about 60-40, Twins having 60-40 in their favor there. But, we saw a great game here tonight up until those later innings. And again, the Brewers were probably making like 7-8 bunt attempts. And then that final one that they made, it made their money's worth for all the other attempts earlier in the game. And unfortunately, there was bad communication there between Steven Okert and Brooks Lee as it went down that third baseline. Were they going to let it roll foul? Unfortunately, they didn't. It wasn't going to. And then you got the bases juice when you don't need them to. So that's what was the difference maker here. And, of course, the Brewers getting the advantage in small ball.
Yeah, Corey Provis, by the way, talked about just how electric that crowd was tonight. And again, you brought it up. Just an absolute, just a great crowd tonight, like we usually get. This is on par for most of these border battles that we usually see most years at Target Field. Pablo, let's talk about his day. 7 innings, 4 hits, just 1 earned, 1 walk, 7 Ks, 109 pitches. He was fantastic. Again, unfortunately, just couldn't get any run support. Literally 0 runs for him, so never really had a chance at the win, unfortunately. But, man, couldn't ask for a better outing from him and a great sign, hopefully, of things to come, right? How'd he look live, I guess, tonight? In person back at Target Field.
No, he looked great in person. I mean, it was just back to who he was last season around this time of year, a year ago. And that's what a lot of fans have been waiting for. Obviously, Pablo Day is made an official thing that they started at the start of the season. Not as many yellow jerseys with the Venezuelan colors. I mean, But, I mean, it was well-earned, but at the same time, as you mentioned, they only had 2 hits and 1 walk in the 7 innings he was on the mound, so he just did not get that offensive run support. And the Brewers got the shorter end of the stick there, and it worked to their advantage, and they were able to make it a 1-0 lead. But obviously, as we get into it here, the extra innings made it more enticing. But again, a lot of swing and miss stuff here from Pablo tonight, which really just made things a lot more exciting. Freddie Peralta was looking a little more hit or miss. I mean, he was having his pitch count go a little higher earlier in the game. I think he was at, I want to say, about 65, 70 pitches as we were going into the 5th inning here. So it's definitely something else.
Yeah, and again, no run support in part because they're missing some star power at the top tonight. Again, kind of frustrating news. Carlos Correa hits the IR. Chris Paddock along with him. So the All-Star break, not enough time to get this team healthy. In fact, they somehow come back more banged up than they were to begin with. But just start with Correa's injury first and foremost. What kind of timetable we're looking at here?
Well, it's a 15-day IL stint, so it might be the end of the month before he's back. But as he's said to the beat reporters here at Torrey Field, I mean, he wants to handle this situation better than he did a year ago while he was playing through plantar fasciitis the entire season. At least they caught it early enough. They're going to give him as much rest as they need to and be cautious that hopefully by the time the trade deadline's over, he'll be back in the lineup and doing some damage here. So it's devastating, but Willie Castro looked really good at short tonight. And then Edward Julian, I think he really kept the Twins in this game while Pablo was on the mound because he was looking fantastic defensively, at least, in his return to the Twins in the first month and a half since he's been with the team.
Just kind of the same record on repeat this year for this team. Royce Lewis, Buxton, Correa again, along with a handful of other guys too, on and off the season. Jose Miranda, Kyle Farmer, Austin Martin just came back. You name it, it feels like everyone's caught the bug at some point this year. How about Paddock as well? He finally comes back after a few months of rest, got 2 starts out of him. Now he needs another breather already. What's the game plan with him? Did he re-aggravate something, or is this just simply a fatigue issue again?
From my understanding, it's just a fatigue issue once again, and they're just going to give him a couple starts off. So I have no idea. It might be Festa, it might be Varlin taking his turns in the rotation in the weeks to come, but we will wait and see. They didn't obviously make an announcement on who will be there, with Julian and Martin both being back and doing a little more offensive heavy, but someone will probably be optioned back down once it gets to that turn in the rotation. I would say that will be Wednesday afternoon. We'll probably have an answer on that.
Again, no Correa, no Royce Lewis, no Miranda in this lineup. You mentioned Ed Julian back in the lineup. Austin Martin back with that oblique pinched hit in the 8th. Ended up getting 3 at-bats because this game went to 12 innings. Diego Castillo up from the Saints with a huge RBI in the 8th. Another in the 12th, actually. 2 RBIs on the night. Which new face in the lineup was most noteworthy for you covering the Saints all year like you have?
Well, Diego Castillo, he had just 1 at-bat in San Francisco, drew a walk, I believe. I could be wrong on that. But, him coming out here tonight, getting that RBI fielder's choice, that really was the difference maker to send this thing into extra innings. And then, again, his at-bat in the 12th looked good, but at the same time, they were down 8-3. Yes, it's an RBI single to make it an 8-4 game, but, it was too little too late, and that's not on him. So, he's getting the opportunity. He's earned the service time that he would have earned if the Twins were playing through the All-Star break, but obviously they don't. So, that's a good thing on his mark. So it's good to see him get this opportunity. What the Twins will do if he gets taken off the 40-minute at some point, it's likely some other team will try to snag him. But, he's here now. He's doing his part, and that's what I think is most notable with the guys I've seen in St. Paul all season that are now here.
Yeah, well said there. Fun to see him get a couple RBIs here and take the most of that opportunity. Do you think Ed Julian's going to be around here now for a minute, just knowing what you know about some of the other injuries, or is it truly just a day-by-day approach?
I think he'll be here at least through the homestand. I think that's safe to say. If anyone's coming off the injured list at the earliest, it's going to be Brock Stewart because he's still with the Saints this weekend as they're in Toledo. I think as they return home from the road trip that they're currently on tomorrow, I think it's safe to say come Monday, Brock Stewart's going to get activated, and one of the 5 guys on the bench, whether it's Camargo, Diego Castillo, they're going to get sent back down, and we will at least have a bullpen reinforcement, which is huge, especially after today's game. You had a lot of guys going out there. There's a possibility things will get delayed tomorrow, maybe even postponed with the weather that's coming into MSP. But we'll wait and see. You still have the bullpen reinforcement, so if things are a little longer tomorrow with the weather, you can at least play that to your advantage, knowing you're going to have Brock Stewart back in the bullpen come Monday.
Well, to your point, 6 relievers used tonight by Rocco. Obviously, when you play 12 innings, you're going to burn through some arms. But just like, how detrimental or how tough to work around is that now the next few days back for Rocco then?
Well, tomorrow's going to be the biggest challenge, as I mentioned, because we don't know what's going to happen weather-wise.
Right.
But, I mean, like I said, Brock Stewart will come back, but that's only a guy you're going to use for 1 inning, get 3 outs, hand it off to the next guy. So it's a bit of a reinforcement, but not much in terms of that long relief, which is what they kind of need right now. And, we'll wait and see what comes of tomorrow before we speculate too much on what will happen there.
Yeah, wait and see for sure. Never know with the weather, but would be nice and ideal to get a rain out and a day off for sure, just for those arms alone. Rocco report time, favorite or least favorite move or decision from today's game. So game 1 versus the Brew Crew, the Rocco report, it says what?
Well, I don't think we could have anticipated this going to 12 innings, and that's why the back and forth with taking some lefty bats out a little too early. We could have played a bit a little later, so it is what it is. I know he loves doing his platoon stuff, but sometimes you play into that a little too early, and it will be costly later on.
Yep, fair enough. That's a good one for sure. All right, plenty more deep dive from this one. Plus, we got our nerdy stat of the day. That's all coming up right after this. Quick reminder, tonight's episode brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, patience. The formula for winning championships is also what keeps your ride or die alive. And eBay Motors, they got everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to the ultimate peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights. They got it all. And whether you're into speed, power, or style, they got you covered with over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die. You'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay's Guaranteed Fit, your part guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back with all the parts you need at the prices you want. Easy to turn your car into the MVP and bring home that win. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay's Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. Okay, you were grinding away during the draft, putting in the work, so I got to ask you, Kalen Culpepper, 21st overall pick, shortstop from TCU. What do you like about him? Where does he kind of rank initially among the Twins prospects? And what else do we need to know about this guy?
Well, he prefers to go by KC Culpepper, his initials, first and middle name. So that is the first thing to know about him, just in preference to what he likes to be called, as someone who's sensitive about how they're called. I will respect that. A lot of the last previous seasons, Twins love drafting their shortstop prep or collegiate prospects, but at the same time, they're not going to be shortstops forever. Let's take Austin Martin, for example. Obviously not drafted by the Twins, but he was a shortstop at Vanderbilt. Now he's the second base, left field, center field platoon guy. Casey Culpepper is probably going to be, I would say, third baseman type. Someone who will develop through the system through the next couple of seasons, and obviously things will happen to this current core, even though we have a lot of really good guys in this current infield core that have optimistic futures. It's a good thing. So.
Twins draft overall, just top to bottom. What kind of grade did you give it? Who was your favorite pick, and maybe a sleeper or two you like from your scouting report?
I think Billy Amick, the guy drafted out of the University of Tennessee, former Major League outfielder Julio Barbone, has joined the Minnesota Twins in recent years as one of their scouts, and he's a University of Tennessee grad, and I know it's a huge pickup for someone he's got that alumni connection and just what he will be able to do as in terms of, he kind of reminds me, if people are familiar with Luke Keeschel by now, they should be. If not, he's the Twins representative in the Futures game. He did a really great job this upseason. Unfortunately, he's probably going to be one of their most asked for prospects this trade deadline, so don't get too attached to him, but be familiar with him. But that's the thing. They got guys that they like, these certain types of prospects, infielders that are malleable to not only, not remain to their position, but move around. So I think they got a lot of good guys in the first 4 rounds.
I pulled up ESPN's little overall grade. They graded each team. They had Derek Bender, the catcher, number 188 overall, as their best quote unquote value pick. And I know they took 3 catchers when it was all said and done. Do you agree he was one of the better value guys of the bunch? And hopefully one of these 3 catchers can ultimately pan out behind the plate?
Yeah, I mean, it will definitely happen. Will they be more than just, a third string catcher or a backup catcher?
Right.
There's so much up in the air, but I mean, one of the 3, statistically speaking, will pan out.
Yeah, I like that. What else stuck out to you just in general around the league, during draft week? We talked at length about how it was kind of a weaker draft class. So the rankings for some of these guys were like all over the map, depending on which team and which scout you ask. Cleveland took my guy, Banzana from Oregon State, second baseman, number 1 overall. But what else was like noteworthy, or what other teams really killed it just based off your rankings?
Well, unfortunately for Twins fans, Cleveland really did kill it. They had a really great draft. I mean, number 1 overall. They really lucked out in this lottery. Again, it is a weaker draft class than last year, but when you still got the number 1 overall pick, it's still the number 1 overall pick, and everything is in your hands to set the tone of how this draft will work out, whether it's in your favor or other teams' favors, and that's what happened with them.
Yeah. All right. Nerdy stat of the daytime. Give us some sort of crazy stat or fun analytic Twins related. What do you got tonight? Lay it on us.
Not too much. I mean, both Diego Castillos have now officially played a game for the Twins at Target Field. I tried to tweet it out, and I did not include the Target Field part, and Dan Hayes corrected me on that. So
Dan Hayes is all over it, man. Yeah.
I mean, Dan's the guy. I got to give him a shout out for that. But, I am not deleting my mistake. I'm owning up to it. So, I mean, hey, you've seen both Diego Castillos at St. Paul and now Target Field. So we're just going to go with that since I had short notice to put something together as I tried to enjoy this game with my friends tonight.
Hey, you piece by pieced it together. You got through it. You salvaged it. Well done, my friend. All right, don't go anywhere. We're just going to preview Game 2 versus the Brew Crew tomorrow. That's all coming up right after this. Quick reminder, tonight's episode also brought to us by Prize Picks. Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 3 million members to date. And for me and my money, by far the easiest and most exciting way to get in on all the action while you watch your favorite sports and you watch your favorite players. So simple. All you got to do, you pick more or you pick less on 2 or more player stats, and you watch the winnings roll in. Baseball season, obviously in full swing. So whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, home runs, you name it, they got it. Take your pick on more or less and add them to your Prize Picks entry today. Plus, they now offer Apple Pay for quick and easy deposits into your account all season long. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code, this is all lowercase, Locked On MLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Okay, Game 2 tomorrow. Joe Ryan on the mound. You were there tonight. How was the crowd tonight? The atmosphere, the ambiance? Because every year, this border battle, man, it's always one of the more intriguing, more entertaining matchups of the season, and always draws a big crowd.
Oh, no. I mean, like I already said at the start of the show, I mean, it was the largest crowd in regular season history. Yeah. And I think that I definitely said this, a back and forth pitcher's duel to start. And then the back and forth with the Santana home run was just, I mean, it was the best vibe for what I would consider more of a fun rivalry compared to what the Vikings and Packers are. I mean, let's be honest. There's more animosity between Vikings, Packers,
sure.
and Twins. So, yeah, no, it was great. I mean, devastating ending for us Twins fans, but for the people, whether they were in Hudson or Milwaukee, making the drive up here, 45 minutes compared to 5.5 hours. I mean, everyone got their money's worth, even if you're a Twins fan, it was a disappointing end. So I think that's definitely a good standard of where things are at between these two teams. They're both competitive teams fighting for the division. They are hoping to advance more than just a wild card spot. And hopefully, ideally, I think a lot of people who were at this game tonight would love these two teams as their World Series matchups more than any. And it's a very high unlikely possibility that will be the case, but I think we get a preview to what that could be like.
Can you imagine? Oh my God. I've never even thought about that matchup, but oh my gosh. Yeah, I mean, people talk about the New York Subway Series all the time, and obviously that's like as good as it can get. But yeah, man, you're talking about a Midwestern border battle for the World Series. Are you kidding me? That would be absolutely fantastic. All right, before we get out of here, a couple quickies to close. I'm gonna put you on the spot here. The Twins will make the playoffs if blank. So the Twins will make the playoffs if what happens, if blank, what is it?
They get that rental starting pitcher they're talking up at the trade deadline, whether it's, they just got to get that fourth starter. I mean, Pablo's looking back to being reliable in the postseason. Joe Ryan's already shown that. I think Bailey Ober, I think we can safely say he's more on that reliable start than not. And with the Chris Paddock injury, I think that only expedites the need because it's no disrespect to Festa, to Varland, or Woods Richardson, but the three of them are still youngsters. If you have even one of those three guys start, you're only going to have them go maybe 4 or 5 innings at best before you hand it over to the bullpen. So I think the Paddock injury just really reassured that they need that extra starter.
Yeah, no, it makes so much sense, especially if you've sat down and watched this team play most of this year. As good as they've been, as good as they can be when healthy, certainly they need one more arm back there for sure if they're going to make a serious run in September. How about the other way, glass half empty? The Twins will not make the postseason because of blank. What's going to happen that could cause them not to make the postseason?
Their reluctancy to make a move. So simple as that.
Yeah, the other thing too that I'm sure a lot of people will start to think about in their head when they hear that question too, the injuries too, right? Like they're not going to make the postseason if these injuries continue to pile up, man. Especially if they can't catch up to Cleveland. There's only so many spots left, and there is some powerhouse teams they're going to be fighting for a couple of these wild card spots. Baltimore or New York, right? Only one of them can win that division. Boston's going to be right there. Houston, Seattle. I mean, all those teams are going to be in the mix at the end, and there's only so many spots to go around. And I think if they didn't make the playoffs in 2024, ultimately, I think it'd just be because they can't keep their studs healthy and on the field, which has been obviously a big issue this season. All right, man, I'll get you. Let's get out of here. I'll get you to the parking lot as soon as we can here. Twins lose game 1, 5 back from Cleveland. Game 2 tomorrow. Joe Ryan on the mound. First pitch for that one, 12:05 p.m. As always, huge shout out to all the everydayers out there, always joining us on the stream, night in, night out. Rest assured, we'll be back each and every game right here to break it all down. Quick reminder as well, make sure you go check out all of Theo's work on X at Theodore Tollefson, plus all the work he's always ripping up over at ZoneCoverageMN.com. And remember, go like this video, subscribe to the channel, help us get to 8,000 subscribers. That's always much, much appreciated. But that'll do it for us tonight. That's Theo Tollefson. I'm Luke Inman on X at Luke_Spinman. We'll see you next time. But until then, signing out.